One of the most legendary machines in automotive history does not owe its existence to market research, consumer demand, or a quest for higher profit margins. It exists entirely because a billionaire wanted petty revenge. In 1963, Ford was an absolute juggernaut of American manufacturing, churning out millions of highly profitable family cars. But they had a severe branding problem. To the younger, speed-obsessed generation of buyers, Ford was the boring company that built their grandfather's station wagon. Over in Italy, Ferrari represented the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Operating out of a tiny artisanal shop, Enzo Ferrari handcrafted breathtaking masterpieces that dominated prestigious racetracks. This chart shows the massive financial mismatch. Ford sat on mountains of cash, while Ferrari was functionally broke, bleeding money for racing. But at the Le Mans podium, the dynamic flipped. Ferrari took the trophy year after year, while Ford had 0 wins. On paper, this was a perfect match. Ford had the capital Ferrari needed to survive, and Ferrari possessed the cool factor Ford needed to rebrand. A corporate merger seemed like a highly logical, mutually beneficial business decision. Henry Ford II saw the opportunity and spent months orchestrating a multi-million-dollar buyout. He dispatched a team of Detroit lawyers to Italy, armed with a massive contract to finalize the acquisition. Enzo Ferrari sat at the table, quietly reading through the document with his signature purple ink pen. Everything went smoothly until he reached page 25. A clause dictated that Ford would control the budget, giving Detroit the power to decide if Ferrari could race. For Enzo, racing was a religion, not a line item. Furious that executives thought they could leash him, he unleashed a string of personal insults, tore the contract to pieces, and kicked the lawyers out, and immediately sold a stake of his company to Ford's bitter rival, Fiat. When the news made it back to Detroit, Henry Ford II was completely livid. He had been publicly humiliated by a tiny Italian shop, and he took it incredibly personally. That single dispute over budgetary control instantly nuked the logical merger. In its place, Henry Ford launched a highly irrational, deeply emotional vendetta to destroy Enzo Ferrari. He gathered his top executives into a room and issued a simple, chilling command: go build a car that will crush Ferrari at Le Mans. Engineering limitations did not matter. He wanted blood. Normal corporate return on investment calculations were thrown out the window. Ford opened the vault, pouring a staggering wave of cash into the development program without a second thought. To execute this hit, Ford brought in legendary American car designer Carroll Shelby and the fearless British driver Ken Miles. Working day and night, the team developed the Ford GT40. It was a low-slung, highly aerodynamic rocket ship, violently propelled by a massive American V8 engine. The strategy was straightforward. Detroit assumed that if they unleashed enough corporate capital and brute manufacturing power, they could instantly buy a racing pedigree. But racing does not care about the size of your bank account. At the 1964 and 1965 Le Mans races, the heavily funded Ford cars proved to be incredibly fast, but terrifyingly unstable. The violent stress of the track ripped the cars apart. Gearboxes melted into slag, engines burst into flames, and at 200 miles per hour, severe aerodynamic flaws caused the cars to begin literally lifting off the ground. Ferrari easily won both years. Enzo Ferrari watched from afar, openly mocking Ford's incredibly expensive, highly public humiliation. In any normal corporate environment, a multi-million-dollar failure with absolutely 0 return on investment gets immediately shut down by the board of directors. But this program was fueled by bruised ego, not profit margins. Instead of cutting his losses, Henry Ford defied all standard business logic, handed Shelby another blank check, and told him to keep pushing. For the 1966 race, Ford changed their approach. Instead of a standard racing team, they invaded Le Mans as a highly mobilized corporate army. They brought a massive fleet of GT40s, an absolute ocean of spare parts, and hundreds of specialized technicians. They pitted the full logistical weight of American manufacturing against Ferrari's isolated, handcrafted operation. The 24-hour endurance race is brutal under the best conditions, but as pouring rain soaked the track, it became a pure test of mechanical survival. Under the relentless high-speed pressure of the Ford onslaught, Ferrari's bespoke Italian engineering finally started to crack. One by one, their delicate engines shattered, forcing the red cars to drop out of the race entirely. The 1966 race proved a brutal reality of manufacturing. The limitless brute force of American mass production could successfully weaponize attrition to defeat delicate Italian artistry. Ford completely erased Ferrari from the track. The GT40s crossed the finish line in a synchronized 1-2-3 photo finish, claiming every spot on the podium. The defeat was absolute. Ferrari would never win the overall Le Mans title again, eventually pulling out of the top prototype racing category altogether. Standing on the balcony overlooking the track, Henry Ford II finally got the blood he wanted. He had executed the ultimate personal revenge on a global stage. The cost of that revenge was staggering. Ford spent the modern equivalent of over $400 million to build a specialized racing machine that offered almost 0 direct return on investment for their consumer business.
The legendary Ford GT40 exists as a permanent reminder of a fascinating financial truth.
Sometimes the most incredible leaps in human technology aren't driven by market logic, efficiency, or profit. They are driven by pure, unadulterated spite.